Ang pangkamayapaan, usapang pangkaunlaran.
Lieutenant General Romeo S. Brunner Jr. and his lady. Once again, the Commanding General, Philippine Army, Lieutenant General Romeo S. Brunner Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Andres S. Centino, Philippine Army, and his lady. General Andres C. Centino, Philippine Army.
It is often said that if we don't study our own history, we will be doomed to repeat it. How did we get here? Who came before us? In the pages of history, your Philippine Air Force has served and protected the Philippine skies from its humble beginnings since 1947. Despite the turmoil and the challenges, the PAF has been the true guardian of the Philippine skies for 75 years.
Composed of highly professional and dedicated men and women who served in various capacities, the PAF was considered to be the most capable air force in Southeast Asia. The jet age gave life to the PAF, which demonstrated its might to raise air consciousness among the Filipino people.
This merely scratches the surface. Our military history is rich, and it defines each of our services to the country and people. Your Air Force has evolved and adapted to the ever-changing pressures of modern warfare.
Yet, every single day of these 75 years, we never stop serving as our nation's first line of defense
amid threats from all fronts, both in land and sea. At present, the PAF's journey in becoming a more capable and credible Air Force responsive to national security and development is closing the gap to its goals through continuous engagement and modernization of its assets, equipment, and its airmen. In order to provide the necessary air power for prompt and sustained air operations in support of the national objectives, the PAF has developed the Integrated Air Operations concept, which covers 6 core air power capabilities that are integrated in all AFP mission. These are the Integrated Air Defense System, Surface Strike System, Intelligence, Surveillance and Reconnaissance System, Mobility Support System, Search and Rescue System, and the Integrated Command, Control, Communication and Computer System.
In terms of national security and development, the PAF conducts maritime patrol operations in our areas of interest, such as the West Philippine Sea and Philippine Rise.
On internal defense, a key component for the surrender of terrorist groups and rebels is the accurate and lethal air strikes that the PAF has conducted. Apart from this, the PAF has extensively supported the ground forces through the intelligence gathered and captured through our UAVs and other ISR assets, as well as the conduct of troop insertion and extrication through our air mobility and other forms of air support.
The Philippines is no stranger to natural disasters and calamities. Leveraging on air power capability, the PAF seized the golden hour in search and rescue operations, as well as retrieval and relief operations.
Amidst the pandemic, the PAF transported PPEs and COVID-19 vaccines through airlift operations. Military and medical personnel were also deployed to support quarantine and safety measures.
In promoting regional security and advocating military diplomacy, the PAF pursued engagements aiming to strengthen and sustain relations with our counterparts. A number of bilateral and multilateral defense agreements, education and training exchange programs, and other activities have been established. This is a manifestation of commitment to ensuring the stability of rules-based order in the ASEAN and Indo-Pacific region.
Additionally, the PAF supports national development through cloud seeding operations, air transport for the President and other VVIPs, and aerial survey with other government agencies.
Above all these, the PAF has also received numerous awards and achieved high trust and satisfaction ratings. This is a clear indication of the Filipino people's confidence and satisfaction with the PAF.
The PAF has continuously advanced its capabilities to fulfill its mandate, and we can be sure that even as it faces new challenges, it will continue to remain at the top of its game. It will push limits and never stop learning, for true strength is not shown until you need it most.
The Philippines' urgent need for a frontline fighter jet stems from ongoing territorial disputes in the South China Sea. Enhancing the PAF surveillance capability is a key plank of the Philippines' modernization drive.
Going above and beyond the high-end air combat arena, your Air Force steadfast dedication is unquestioned. Our strength is in our unity and pride.
We challenge ourselves each day, practicing relentlessly so that we are ready when called upon.
We will continue to train with absolute focus through whatever challenges may come our way. We are one with the Filipino people.
We are one with our country.
And we are one with the Philippine skies.
Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Sa buhay ng tao, dadaan tayo sa mga mabibigat na dakong susubok sa katatagan natin. Walang higit na makakapantay sa pusong may paniniwalang tuloy ang buhay. Ang pangangabay may katumbas na paalalang sa bawat dagok ng buhay, padyak kaibigan.
Lipad Philippine Air Force, padyak! Basa Air Base is situated at Florida Blanca, Pampanga, one of the highly affected areas of the drastic phenomenon. The dilemma has been the bridge towards the citizen of the different sitios and the soldiers of Basa Air Base, especially the indigenous people. Lipad Paf Padjak initiates a reminder to the people that we are one with them.
Kaya pong mamakbungin pinatubo, tatanam kepong kasalukuyan, pale, mabuanglo. Nagsitakbuhan yung mga pulo. Takot na takot. Akala nila, yun ang katapusan ng mundo. Tatanim kami ng pala, yung ginaganon lang sa lupa. Siyempre nawala na po, may mga alaga kaming manok. Yan pong mga nawala namin noong panahon na yun.
Ladies and gentlemen, the former President of the Republic of the Philippines, Congresswoman Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Once again, the former President of the Republic of the Philippines, Congresswoman Gloria Macapagal Arroyo.
Ipon! Ta! Baba! Ta! Harap sa kaliwa! Harap!
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the commemoration of the 75th founding anniversary of the Philippine Air Force. Before the start of the program, may we remind everyone to please turn off your mobile phones or keep them on silent mode.
To all our virtual attendees, please be reminded to turn on your camera and ensure that your microphone is on mute. Thank you.
Some gentle reminders before we start our program. Once again, please turn off your cellular phones or keep them on silent mode. Always wear your face mask. Avoid handshakes, beso-beso, or similar greetings. Please refrain from roaming around, especially when the President has arrived. Please refrain from taking selfies or groupies with the President so as not to impede the program flow. Only official photographers and accredited media personnel are allowed to take pictures and videos in designated areas. No posting of photos or videos of the event on social media while the event is ongoing. And all participants are enjoined to stay in their respective seats when the President arrives and until he has left the venue. May we request everyone to please settle down. Our guest of honor will arrive in a short while. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we await for the arrival of our guest of honor, we would like to inform our guests that our program for this afternoon will be composed of 4 parts and will be a 2 to 3 hour event. We would like to inform our guests that our restrooms are located at the lounge at the right side of the hangar when facing the stage. This is just beside the lead path, agile and dependable tarpaulin. Should you require any assistance, please feel free to call any of the usherettes for any specific request. Dinner will be served after the program courtesy of Chibu Catering, known for its vibrancy, simplicity, and quality of ingredients in preparation for their authentic Italian cuisines. Again, on behalf of the Philippine Air Force family, we are honored by your presence in this historic moment of the Philippine Air Force as we celebrate our diamond anniversary as a major service of the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Ipon! Ta! Harap sa kanan! Harap! Sa kanang balikat! Ha! Pasulong! Kad!
Ladies and gentlemen, may I request everyone to please settle down. Our guest of honor will be arriving shortly. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may I request everyone to kindly proceed to your respective places. Our guest of honor will be arriving. Thank you. Again, may I request everyone to kindly proceed to their respective places. Our guest of honor will be arriving. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 17th President of the Republic of the Philippines and the Commander-in-Chief Armed Forces of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr.
Once again, the 17th President of the Republic of the Philippines and Commander-in-Chief Armed Forces of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. He is accompanied by the Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas Sr. This year, we are celebrating the Diamond Anniversary of the Philippine Air Force. This momentous event reaffirms our commitment and resolve to continue to serve the country and defend our precious skies.
Once again, President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr.
Please remain standing for the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Please remain standing for the invocation to be led by the Chief Chaplain, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Colonel Daniel D. Tansip, Chaplain Service.
To God be all the glory and praise and thanksgiving. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we praise you and we bless you for the 75th founding anniversary of the Philippine Air Force, an agile and dependable organization of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, the platform of every airman and airwoman's selfless display of heroism and patriotism as guardians of our skies, bearers of hope. As we rejoice with this Diamond Jubilee in the annals of our history, continue to envelop with your loving embrace and everlasting presence, Heavenly Father, the lives of airmen and airwomen for the accomplishment of their noble mission as expressed in this year's theme, patuloy sa paglipad tungo sa mas matatag at maasang himpapawid para sa Diyos, sa bayan at Pilipino. In a special way, we ask you, Heavenly Father, to grant favors to our silent yet persistent petitions to achieve the milestones set in our flight plan with your overarching trust, Lipad PAF. Finally, we implore your distinct benediction on our guest of honor, His Excellency President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., the Commander-in-Chief Armed Forces of the Philippines. Accord this presidency with your divine providence to a future sufficiency, increase confidence-building experience in our midst, and make us feel happier in our company with each other. as we rally with our efforts to uphold the sovereignty of the nation and the well-being of every Filipino people, with your Son, Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
Please be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the commemoration of the 75th founding anniversary of the Philippine Air Force with the theme, PAF at 75, patuloy sa paglipad tungo sa mas matatag at maaasahang hukbong himpapawid para sa Diyos, bayan at Pilipino.
May we now request the Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas, Sr., Philippine Air Force, to deliver his welcome remarks and anniversary message.
Let me first greet His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., the 17th President of the Republic of the Philippines and Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces of the Philippines. Congresswoman, 2nd District of Pampanga, Regional 3, former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, Ma'am. The Special Assistant to the President, Secretary Antonio Ernesto Lagdameo Jr. On VTC, the Officer in Charge, Department of National Defense, Undersecretary Jose Faustino Jr. Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Andres Centino, and Mrs. Sheila Centino, Ma'am. Commandant, Philippine Coast Guard, Coast Guard Admiral Artemio Abu, former Secretary, Department of National Defense, Major General Delphine Lorenzana, retired, on VTC. General and senior officers from the retired and reserved military service who are physically and virtually present, headed by General Benjamin Defensor Jr., retired, the 31st Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, and the 26th Commanding General, Philippine Air Force, with Ma'am Lady Meg Defensor, former Commanding Generals, Philippine Air Force, guest from the Malacanang Palace, guest from the Department of National Defense on VTC, guest from General Headquarters, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Major Service Commanders and Commander of the Unified Command, local government officials of the Province of Pampanga, the Acting Chief, JUSMAG Philippines, and members of the Foreign Armed Forces Attaché Corps, other general officers and senior officers of the Philippine Air Force, headed by the Vice Commander, Major General Art Cordura and Lady Miss Paula Cordura, members of the Multi-Sectoral Governance Council, headed by Attorney Gilbert Chodoro, the Chairman, our awardees and other distinguished guests, my wife, Mary Grace. Allow me also to acknowledge my family, Adi and Kobe, my mom, the ever-supported and big fan of our President, sir, Maria Consuelo Canlas, and of course, my family with my mom. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon po sa inyong lahat. Isang mapagpalang hapon sa ating lahat. I am deeply honored to be here this afternoon to welcome you all as we celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Philippine Air Force. I thank you for sharing this milestone with us. The 75th year signifies the diamond anniversary, quite fitting as this is symbolic of what the Philippine Air Force stands for: brilliance, resiliency, and quality that endures through many years. Indeed, The men and women of the Philippine Air Force embody the qualities of a diamond. They have been forced under pressure, and they shine with their heroism, patriotic duty during the nation's most crucial moments, and their strength is unbreakable. This is what we are celebrating today as we mark our anniversary with the theme, Patuloy sa Paglipad, tungo sa mas matatag at maaasahang hukbong himpapawid para sa Diyos, bayan at Pilipino. Ang pangako ng inyong Philippine Air Force ay lalong paigtingin ang serbisyo para sa bayan. This is an expression of constancy of purpose in developing our core competencies to continue soaring to greater heights. In all this, we are ever guided by our one true commander, the Heavenly Father, our Creator. He is the air and power plant of our aircraft, the compass that guides our direction. I would like to take this opportunity to briefly share the journey of the Air Force from the year we first took off until today. One of the indicators of a nation's progress is the development of superior air power. Whoever controls the air has domain over the surface. Sa munting AVP na ito, samahan niyo po kaming magbalik tanaw sa aming paglipad tungo sa isang matatag at maasahang hukbong himpapawid para sa ating bayan at lipunan.
The Philippine Air Force started as the Philippine Constabulary Air Corps in 1930 with only 3 Stearman 73L3 trainer planes in its inventory. In 1935, it was redesignated as the Philippine Army Air Corps and finally, in 1947, evolved into the Philippine Air Force we know today. Our acquisition of F-86 Sabre jets and F-5 Freedom fighters during the 50s to 60s catapulted the PAF into the jet age, making the Philippines as one of the military powerhouses in Southeast Asia. From that decade up to the early 2000s, the PAF played a key role in the government's anti-insurgency campaign, fighting against coup d'etats and keeping the territorial integrity of our country intact by utilizing these assets. Our presence in the international community was widely known, supporting foreign peacekeeping operations in Korea, Congo, Vietnam, and Indonesia, when it seemed like we would climb to greater heights. The Asian financial crisis in 1997 swept the country's economy, halting the funding of AFP modernization projects, which subsequently caused the PAF's air power to wane. We endured and remained resilient. Despite the eventual decommissioning of our air assets and other equipment, the PAF carried on, providing that its resolve to be the protectors and guardians of our skies never weakened. Thankfully, with the unprecedented arrival of newer assets, the PAF became the game changers, and providing decisive air strikes, reconnaissance, air mobility support, humanitarian assistance and disaster response, and territorial defense, which has put us back on track towards our modernization efforts. As an agile and dependable organization, the PAF has continued progressing and adapting to various situations. The pandemic had us intensify our efforts to address the ills of our country. Whether flying locally or internationally, we delivered the medical protective equipment and vaccines needed for our citizens. We have honed our craft in delivering the air power needed by our compatriots on the ground and sea, providing precise strikes day or night and guarding our maritime domain from external threats. As we face the 4th Industrial Revolution, we have heightened our network-centric operations, enabling us to better perform our mandates. In an ever-evolving landscape, difficulties and challenges will persist. But with the heroic efforts of the past and present airmen, the PAF will continue to be a capable and credible organization to protect the people and state from any and all threats. This is our commitment. This is our promise. Lipad, Philippine Air Force.
Your Philippine Air Force is committed to continue on the path to greater heights, ready to serve, support, save, defend, and accomplish any assigned task. Through our Flight Plan 2028, now set to track onwards with the launching of the Flight Plan 2040 and the assistance of our Multi-Sector Governance Council, chaired by Attorney Gilbert Chodoro. We have managed to acquire valuable assets such as the 6 Super Tucanos, 6 Hermes 900, 4 Scan Eagle UAVs, 2 129 attack helicopters, 16 S-70I Black Hawk helicopters, 1 G-280 command and control aircraft, and the first of 3 C-295 Major aircraft, plus the Spider Philippine Air Defense System. We are also expecting the delivery of more assets, such as the 4 radars under Horizon 2, 32 S-70I Black Hawk helicopters, 2 additional lots of combat utility helicopter integrated logistics support. This will make us more agile in controlling current and future security threats. Our flight capabilities will not be possible without our well-trained and highly skilled personnel. Your PAF stands strong with 18,626 airmen and airwomen, 1,245 civilian personnel, and almost 34,000 standby reserve forces deployed all throughout the country. Not only are we revitalizing existing assets and acquiring new capabilities, the purposive development and well-being of our personnel are being pursued as we aspire to make an impact in accomplishing our mandated mission with utmost excellence and professionalism. Maasahan ang PAF na pangalagaan ang seguridad ng ating bayan. We effectively utilize our air assets and prime equipment in support to the AFP joint operations by conducting air interdiction to disrupt the enemy's movement, neutralize and soften up targets for troop insertion, validate intelligence reports through our drones and ISR platforms, targeting high-value individuals. Further, our eyes and ears in the sky is on guard 24/7 to detect and deter external threats. Maasahan din natin ang inyong Air Force na makatuwang sa gobyerno tungo sa pagunlad ng bansa. We have intensified our efforts in supporting the government's initiatives towards peace, security, and national development through supporting law enforcement operations, leading to the arrest of criminal and drug personalities, and widely propagated the NTF-ELCAC's efforts in order to end the decades-long deception of the communist terrorists. Maasahan ng Philippine Air Force na katuwang sa pagsuporta ng demokrasya. Just recently, the Philippine Air Force, together with other uniformed services, safeguarded the will of the people during the 2022 national and local elections through the swift distribution of election paraphernalia, PICOS machines, and the ferrying of COMELEC officials. Sa mga panahon ng sakuna, lubos natin maasahan ang PAF sa pag-alay at pagsagip ng ating mga kababayan. We seize the golden hour, always first on the scene during disasters or calamities. Our personnel and assets are instrumental in the disaster rescue and relief operations, providing quick response in rescue and recovery efforts, most especially in saving the lives of our beleaguered and stranded citizens as displayed in the aftermath of Typhoons Odette and Agaton. Our breakthroughs will not be possible without our personnel and civilian human resource who showcased their skills during the past year, where we engaged our counterparts encouraged a culture of continuous learning, and contributed to the efforts to improve the well-being of our communities and our families. Allow me to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to the national leadership and our valuable stakeholders for their unwavering support. Strengthening our relationship with the Filipino people essentially allows us to win and do more. Again, thank you very much for always being with us in all our endeavors. Let me acknowledge ang dating SND, si Secretary Delphine N. Lorenzana, at ating bagong Undersecretary and Officer in Charge, Jose C. Faustino Jr., pati ang ating mga mahal na Pangulo, former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, at ang ating bagong Pangulo, President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. Salamat, sir. It is indeed heartwarming and gratifying today because the first day of office as President and Commander-in-Chief ay kasama natin siya sa 75th anniversary celebration ngayon dito. Sir, maraming salamat sa iyong pagdalo, and this truly means a lot for your Air Force family. Hindi po matatapos ang aming pasasalamat dahil patuloy niyo po kaming sinasamahan sa aming paglipad bilang inyong hukbong himpapawid. In my capacity as the Commanding General, I assure you that we will continue to build on the culture of excellence and heroism that the airmen and airwomen before us have worked so hard to establish. Pangako namin sa inyo na kami ay patuloy na lilipad bilang isang matatag at maaasahang hukbong himpapawid para sa Diyos, bayan at Pilipino. As we mark our diamond year, it is our vow to never lose our luster, our strength, and our clarity of mission as your servants and defenders on or above ground. As I end, I invite you all to fix your eyes. Pero medyo weather, sir. We were supposed to have a flyby for the T-41 and SF-260, forming the number 75, signifying our 75th founding anniversary celebration. Welcome to everyone and happy anniversary to the Philippine Air Force. Tuloy natin ang paglipad, and to God be all the glory. Maraming salamat po.
A round of applause to the 75 magnificent years of the Philippine Air Force.
Thank you, sir. We shall now proceed to the presentation of awards. These awards are being presented to the Philippine Air Force units, officers, enlisted personnel, and civilian human resource personnel for their meritorious and exceptional services rendered to the country and Filipino people.
May we request all of the awardees to please proceed beside the stage. Likewise, may we request our guest of honor, the Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., to confer the awards. He will be assisted by the Commanding General, Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas, Sr., Philippine Air Force.
For having been adjudged as the Commanding General Philippine Air Force Streamer Awardee for Command Combat Support category, the recipient of the plaque of commendation and streamer is Air Defense Command. To receive the award is the Commander, Major General Agustin S. Malinit, Philippine Air Force.
Thank you, sir. For having been adjudged as the Commanding General, Philippine Air Force Streamer Awardee for Command Service Support category, The recipient of the plaque of commendation and streamer is Air Education, Training, and Doctrine Command. Likewise, they will also receive the CGPAF Flight Safety Award for Command Service Support category for having the best overall accident prevention program in all flight safety functional areas. To receive the award is the Commander, Major General Nestor Florente D.C. Rayos, Philippine Air Force.
Thank you, sir. For having been adjudged as the Commanding General Philippine Air Force Streamer Awardee for Wing Combat category, the recipient of the plaque of commendation and streamer is 5th Fighter Wing. Likewise, they will also receive the CGPAF Flight Safety Award for Wing Combat category for having the best overall accident prevention program in all flight safety functional areas. To receive the award is the Wing Commander, Brigadier General Pedro S. Francisco III, Philippine Air Force. Thank you, sir.
For having been adjudged as the Commanding General Philippine Air Force Streamer Awardee for Wing Combat Tactical Operation Wing category, the recipient of the plaque of commendation and streamer is Tactical Operations Wing, Western Mindanao. To receive the award is the Wing Commander, Colonel Dennis G. Estrella, Philippine Air Force, General Staff Corps. Thank you, sir.
For having been adjudged as the Commanding General Philippine Air Force Streamer Awardee for Wing Combat Support Flying category, the recipient of the plaque of commendation and streamer is 250th Presidential Airlift Wing. Likewise, they will also receive the CGPAF Flight Safety Award for Wing Combat Support category for having the best overall accident prevention program in all flight safety functional areas. To receive the award is the Wing Commander, Brigadier General Pablo E. Rustria Jr., Philippine Air Force. Thank you, sir.
For having been adjudged as the Commanding General Philippine Air Force Streamer Awardee for Wing Combat Support Non-Flying category, the recipient of the plaque of commendation and streamer is 710th Special Operations Wing. To receive the award is the Wing Commander, Colonel Vincent B. Incognito, Philippine Air Force, General Staff Corps. Thank you, sir.
For having been adjudged as the Commanding General Philippine Air Force Streamer Awardee for Wing Service Support category, the recipient of the plaque of commendation and streamer is 14th Maintenance Wing. To receive the award is the Wing Commander, Brigadier General Chofelo R. Bailon Jr., Philippine Air Force. Thank you, sir.
For having been adjudged as the Commanding General, Philippine Air Force Streamer Awardee for Group Combat Support category, the recipient of the plaque of commendation and streamer is Tactical Operations Group 8. To receive the award is the Group Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Arvin Joel N. Buan, Philippine Air Force General Staff Corps. Thank you, sir.
For having been adjudged as the Commanding General Philippine Air Force Streamer Awardee for Ready Reserve Wing, the recipient of the plaque of commendation and streamer is 3rd Air Force Wing Reserve. To receive the award is Lieutenant Colonel Floreto I. Solano, Philippine Air Force Reserve General Staff Corps. Thank you, sir.
For having been adjudged as the Philippine Air Force Field Grade Officer of the Year, the recipient of the plaque of recognition is Major Venil Joseph P. Buntuyan, Officer-15730, Philippine Air Force from the 205th Tactical Helicopter Wing. Thank you, sir.
For having been adjudged as the Philippine Air Force Company Grade Officer of the Year, the recipient of the plaque of recognition is Captain Raymond Ralph C. Gamboa, Officer-16637, Philippine Air Force from 220th Airlift Wing. Thank you, sir.
For having been adjudged as the Philippine Air Force Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year, the recipient of the plaque of recognition is Staff Sergeant Jed N. Gonzalez, 870530, Philippine Air Force from Tactical Operations Wing, Northern Luzon. Thank you, sir.
For having been adjudged as the Philippine Air Force Airman of the Year, the recipient of the plaque of recognition is Airman First Class Romnick Escandiyang, 933855, Philippine Air Force from Tactical Operations Wing, Northern Luzon. Thank you, sir.
For having been adjudged as the Philippine Air Force Civilian Human Resource Supervisor of the Year, the recipient of the plaque of recognition is Ms. Mercelina D.G. Pedro, Civilian Human Resource from 420th Supply Wing. Thank you, ma'am.
For having been adjudged as the Philippine Air Force Civilian Human Resource Employee of the Year, the recipient of the plaque of recognition is Mr. Richard C. Benko, Civilian Human Resource from 710th Special Operations Wing.
Thank you, sirs, and congratulations to all our awardees. You may now return to your seats.
At this point, may I request the Chief of Staff Armed Forces of the Philippines to introduce our guest of honor and speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines and the Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr.
Thank you for your kind introduction. Our Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Andres Centino, former President and now Congresswoman Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, AFP Chief of Staff General Centino, Philippine Army Commanding General Lieutenant General Romeo Browner, officers and enlisted personnel of the Philippine Air Force, led by Commanding General Lieutenant General Connor Anthony Canlas Sr., foreign military attaches in attendance, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want you to take your seats. First and foremost, I think it is only appropriate that my first acts as president is to join you at this momentous 75th year anniversary of our very own, the Philippine Air Force. I congratulate the entire team, the brave, courageous men and women officers of the Philippine Air Force, as commanded by Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas. Your loyalty and commitment and love of country are definitely worth emulation for not only those in the military, but of all citizens of the Philippines. As we fly and aim high for our country and people, given the resounding and historical mandate that this administration has received, it is a most opportune time. Today's event is the perfect time to recognize our nation's continued enhancement in air strength over the years, the air capability that we have used and continue to employ in our national effort towards nationhood. The ongoing defense modernization effort is in coordination with the basic prerequisites that would complement this administration's vision for a stronger, bigger, and effective Air Force, capable of defending and maintaining our sovereign state and of assisting our people in times of dire consequences and today's reality that this dictates. A more modern aerial and surveillance capability is all the more felt given the territorial disputes that we in the Philippines are involved in. This enhanced capability is also proven to be very critical in the Philippine military's efforts to protect the nation from local communist insurgents and the extremist groups in the South. As our country is defined by more than 7,000 islands, several of which are located in active volcanic zones or are in the pathway of some of the strongest typhoons ever recorded in history, natural disasters are certainties we all expect now to happen. Transport aircraft, helicopters, and the like are important facilities that only the Philippine Air Force can suitably and sufficiently provide, especially during humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations. All these are just some of the most fundamental and significant functions that we have come to expect from our Air Force. At this point, it is but proper that we honor, acknowledge, and appreciate the Philippine Air Force's outstanding personnel and units, for today is their day, and deservingly so. Congratulations to all the awardees. All of you are worth our emulation, our respect, our admiration. You are what makes this 75th year even more meaningful and essential than it already is. Thank you all to the officers and men and women of the Philippine Air Force. Mabuhay po kayong lahat. And I thank you once again to be part of this 75th celebration of the establishment of the Philippine Air Force. Magandang hapon na po sa inyong lahat. Marami pong salamat.
Thank you, sir, for that very inspiring message. Please be seated.
We shall now proceed to the launching of the PAF Flight Plan 2040 and PAF Integrated Surface Strike Operation Handbook.
At this point, may we request everyone to please focus your attention on the screen in front for a short AVP. Firstly, the PAF Flight Plan 2040, to be followed by the Integrated Surface Strike Operation Handbook.
The Philippine Air Force has embarked on a long-term strategic transformation plan through the Flight Plan 2028 as we aim to pursue genuine reforms towards attaining our vision of becoming a more capable and credible organization, responsive to national security and development.
As we close out our first waypoint, our breakthrough results are seen by the many platforms and capabilities we were able to acquire recently. Yet, we look into a future faced with new challenges and an increasingly complex operating environment, which calls for a future-ready strategy for the PAF.
As such, we laid the foundations for our strategic directions until 2040 and decided that we will transition from a resource-constrained capacity-driven organization to a capability-driven Air Force that is operationally agile and responsive, putting emphasis on research and development, capability development innovation, operational excellence, knowledge management, and stakeholder engagement as our future areas of excellence, as we continue to defend the Philippines' air, surface, cyberspace, and space domains.
We will continue our transformation with Flight Plan 2040 with a renewed vision to become a credible and agile Air Force, adaptable to modern warfare and responsive to national and regional security and development.
Our new flight plan will tackle, among other things, advanced integration of our air defense systems, advanced use of our C4I, ISR, and cybersecurity systems, and a more in-depth look into system integration to joint operations.
We will develop smart and secured strategic bases, strengthen our logistics management systems, and enhance our human resource capabilities' technical adeptness for multi-domain operations.
With our breakthrough goal for 2028, the PAF will focus on being a capability-driven organization, adept for integrated multi-domain operations by 2034.
Through the strengthened capabilities from years prior, we aim to become a credible Air Force for national and regional stability by 2040. This is our Flight Plan 2040.
As the Philippine Air Force continues its flight towards modernization, it transforms and evolves into a force that is well prepared to respond to any threats and challenges. At present, the PAF has 6 core systems, where every system caters to the requirements of various operations of the AFP. One of these is the Surface Strike System, which caters to the air strike capabilities to find, fix, and destroy surface targets. Guidelines must be established to successfully accomplish the mission, which resulted in the birth of the Integrated Surface Strike Operations Handbook in order to conduct its core defense mission as part of a joint, interagency, or multinational force or independently in support of national security objectives. This handbook contains the PAF Surface Strike System tactics, techniques, and procedures that are designed for the training and employment of different PAF air assets in the surface strike system operations, following the concept of the PAF Integrated Air Operations concept. The success of surface strike operations highlights the following capabilities. During surveillance and intelligence, our ISR platforms and forward air controllers systematically observe air, surfaces, places, persons, or things by visual, photographic, and other means. It is used to evaluate the surrounding friendlies and enemies in order to have proper planning, which leads to successful execution. During command and control, the exercise of authority and direction by a properly designated commander over assigned forces in the accomplishment of the mission. And during employment, PAF aircraft are employed along with their strike capabilities to destroy surface targets. The PAF has indeed proven its worth in providing the advantages of air power in achieving victory in the battlefield. And this is the evidence of the unwavering and tireless efforts and commitment of the men and women of the Philippine Air Force to excellence and professionalism.
We shall now proceed to the unveiling ceremony of the PAF Flight Plan 2040 and the Integrated Surface Strike Operation Handbook.
May we request our guest of honor, the Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces of the Philippines, President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. and Lieutenant General Connor Anthony D. Canlas Sr. for the unveiling.
Mr. President, at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Unveil, sirs! The Philippine Air Force has embarked on a strategy refresh last year and has laid the foundations for its strategic directions until 2040, with a renewed vision to become a credible and agile Air Force, adaptable to modern warfare and responsive to national and regional security and development.
On the other hand, the Integrated Surface Strike Operations Handbook is intended for the utilization of surface strike missions. Thank you, sirs. You may now be seated.
As a continuation, we shall now proceed to the launching of the PAF Geographic Information System. Once again, please direct your attention to the screen in front for an audiovisual presentation.
The Philippine Air Force, guided by the LEPAD PAF framework, developed the PAF IAOS, the Command and Control, Communications and Computer System, or IC4 core system, which provides seamless exchange of information among its other core systems to be interfaced in a common operational picture to ensure greater situational awareness among all tactical units. With that, the Philippine Air Force system developers designed and developed the PAF Geographical Information System to support the near real-time COP and geospatial requirements of the PAF Integrated Air Operations System and its core systems. The COP will have a reference-based maps on which data can be overlaid to different layers to visualize geographic information. Other relevant data can be added to a base map by overlaying other information on top of it. The overlays contain reference data that may provide supporting geospatial information for air operations. The following are the current PAF GIS layer, PAF aircraft status. This map layer displays the status of every aircraft in every flying unit and can plot on the map its current location. Its data is supplied in near real times by the existing aircraft maintenance management system. Petroleum, oil, and lubricant, firearms, and air munitions reports layer, which provides logistic information about the day-to-day firearm and air munition status of all PAF units and the petroleum and lubricant balances of every PAF dump station, reflected in near real time. The data and analytics is supplied by the PAF Integrated Logistics System or PAFILS that serves as a tool for effective and efficient management of logistics resources to aid the military leadership in decision making. The Spider Track Aircraft Flight Follow and Position Feeds layer. This is a third-party system that is connected through application programming interface in the PAF GIS to monitor the current location of the aircraft, whether on ground or airborne. It can capture the aircraft's track, altitude, and airspeed during the flight. This is the Philippine Air Force Geographic Information System, a network-centric operations responsive to national security and development.